the consciousness of this planet is rising. And so therefore we have, things like more people working from home, more people searching for spirituality, more people deciding that they don't want to be part of the system, people changing careers too. Like myself, I've been educated an architect, I've had several architecture business in my life, and then here I am now living my authentic self, the life that I've never really thought I ever wanted because my dreams are very much formulated around who I wanted to be back then and how I was educated to think about myself, about success, about who I should become as an architect now and things like that. But my soul wanted something different. And so when I started awakening to that, I started to live more aligned and choose things that are more aligned with my truth. And here I am today, like living in Peru. I became a healer and I'm so fulfilled with these transformations. But all of this also gave me an opportunity to really speak from my own experience, because effectively I went through it. And a big part of realizing your authentic self and connecting deeply to your soul comes from the death of all these programs, of all these identities, of all these beliefs about you that really truly have nothing to do with who you truly authentically are. And so this is the big point. Now, you can choose to awaken in this lifetime. It's available for you. So many people are awakening, and honestly, they're not all like shamans or some type of Buddhist monks. Like, they don't really carry the label of like a spiritual individual even. Like, so many people are awakening in like everyday reality in big cities all over the world, like many different professions, many different jobs, many different types of lifestyles that they can have. And that just means that not only the soul is ready now to go in, but when this point of awakening happens, you actually are facing one very important decision. Because you cannot fully awaken if you don't allow yourself to go through that process of shedding, of the death of the programs, of the death of the ego, of all the identities, even many of your desires and dreams. Because, for example, for myself, my desires and dreams were massively connected to being an architect. And so in order to be able to step into my highest path, I needed to actually let go of a lot of the things and visions that I had for myself, that effectively I realized that actually all of them were informed by the education, the schooling system I went through, like my peers and their successes, and obviously all the accomplished, famous individuals in architecture that I have always looked up to. And so in many ways, they were valid dreams, great dreams, but not really dreams that came from my highest self, like from the path of my soul. Like, why am I actually born at this time, in this, like on this planet? Why am I actually here? What did my soul came here to do? Is that to be an architect? Because it does not feel true to me. Like, there was something more to it. And what I realized is that through all these multiple ways of dying and discovering the true essence beyond all these different identities and belief systems and ways of operating, and what I did for love and what I did for money and how I believed myself deserving or not deserving, all those things had to transform within in order for me to show up differently and to show up more authentically, and even get to discover who is the authentic self below all these different things. And so as a result, it was a very tumultuous process, I would say. And I think that anyone who allowed themselves to go through this process would agree with me. But the very important fact is that awakening is not easy. Why? Because it does mean the collapse of all these identities and beliefs. And if you're not ready to do it, if you're not ready to fully surrender to this experience and say, you know what? I'm determined to live free. I'm determined to create heaven on earth. I am determined to leave suffering and start to create and live, allow myself to live in a reality that is pleasant, that is loving, that is kind. First and foremost to self. Even the way you treat yourself, that's where it all starts. So honoring rest, honoring your emotions, honoring your yes and your no, your boundaries, basically truly honoring yourself. And these things may actually be extremely difficult to execute. And so, this moment when you're awakening, you actually have that decision to make. Are you ready for it? Are you capable to do whatever it takes for your freedom? Whatever it takes for the elevation of self, for that state of awakening? Are you available for it? Are you capable of doing whatever it takes or not? And this is really where it all lays. And I'll tell you my personal story. The first time when I experienced awakening, I was very young. I was probably about 19, 20-year-old. I was living in London, studying at a time architecture, and because of my upbringing and how difficult my childhood was, I used to think of myself unworthy. And I remember this moment of like a few seconds before, right after you wake up and before you kind of open your eyes, that there would be all this sort of reality that was sinking in. And it was like a moment where I wake up and I'm kind of empty. And then I start remembering the self. Like, oh, I am this person that's really unhappy, remember? I'm a person that's carrying a lot of trauma and doesn't understand why I've been that hurt in my life, remember? Like, oh, and that therefore that makes me undeserving, remember? And so before I even actually physically opened my eyes, I already had all of these programs like informing my reality right there and then. And so by the time I did open my eyes and made it out of bed, I was already living in the very same reality that I kind of believed to be my truth all my life. And I swear there was just this one moment in time where before opening my eyes, I actually once questioned it. I was like, but why? It doesn't have to be true. Is this really what defines me? All this life, all this suffering, is that who I am? Is this what made me me? And like there's nothing else there anymore? So do I have any chance at happiness or no? And at that point, I said, no, that cannot be true. And I swear to you, something crazy happened, because it's almost like this house of cards, right, collapsed. Like this whole belief system and the world I lived in inverted itself because I questioned it. It was the first time I questioned my own truth, my own reality. And that started like, I would say, like a strike of various incidents and events in my life that followed day by day for a few weeks and then a few months that really brought a lot of awareness and awakening. And I realized right there and then that I have a chance to free myself from my sufferings. I just need to choose to stop believing in it. But that was way before I ever knew how to heal. It was way before I discovered plant medicines. It was way before I did any therapy. And so it was so very difficult to change my mind around the trauma that I carried in my body. And surely right after, like maybe for 2 weeks or 3 weeks, I was playing that game of like choosing, like which pill do I take, like or continue take, like do I switch my medication right now? Perhaps, instead of believing myself small and believing myself incapable and believing myself traumatized, maybe I should just start believing something different. And quite honestly, the very cure of it all, if you can just do that with your mind, like this at one instance, choose to think something different, you don't actually practically need to go and heal anything, because the new neural pathways will somewhat like cleanse your system. The problem is that our body remembers, and the neural pathways in our brain that are informed with the ways that we think are just so strong and powerful. It's actually extremely difficult to now start thinking differently, especially if you're not trained in that, especially if your environment has never informed you to do that. It's like extremely difficult. And so that's what happens, is at that moment, you just kind of almost have no choice. And so long story short, I shut it all off. I shut it down. I was too scared to continue. I didn't have the tools. I didn't have the guidance. I didn't know how to do it. And it just felt like a tremendous responsibility. And I kind of consciously shut it off. And ever since, I lived my life like back in forgetfulness. But now I remembered as a matter of fact that something happened that changed my reality for a minute. And so that is available for me. Perhaps one day when I'm a bit more mature, and maybe if I heal a little more, like I can open that door again. And now I'm 38 and I opened that door again about a year and a half ago. So the long story short is, this is what awakening is about. It's taking absolute responsibility for the life that you are creating, for what you believe yourself to be, because you are God. You are that essence, that consciousness that created this game. And in fact, it's all happening because you are observing it. Like, we so often identify with everything that's external. We'll think ourselves like lacking because all these limitations we were born into taught us that we lack, that we're not good enough, that maybe we don't deserve love, or we don't have love, or we don't obtain love, or maybe we're in scarcity and we're poor and we don't have money, and whatever we need to do for money and worth and to be able to be seen and respected. And so we live in that lack, and we think that love and abundance and money and everything comes from the outside. But actually, the very thing we seek is who we truly are in our essence. It's literally the definition of our authenticity. Like, it's who you are. You are God. And God is all those things that are absolute, that in fact our human brain cannot even comprehend. So it takes courage to go through it. And it takes determination to want to really like smash through all these illusions and want to connect fully with truth, with light, with love, with abundance, with health, prosperity, which is your true essence. And say, you know what, I am it. So I'll get to now discover truth about myself. And when this happens, it opens a door for awakening. But the decision is yours. And honestly, you can choose not to do that in this life. But next lifetime, there will be a moment where you're going to have to make the same exact decision. And same comes for like many lifetimes later. But that's really the one and only things that you always are coming back to live for. It's you deciding whether you are a victim of this reality and you believe everything that is surrounding you, all this matrix and the illusions within it, to be true and defining you, or not. It's your choice. And if you decide one over another, you'll just keep living your lives until the next moment when that decision comes about. So it's all your decision. And you can choose to awaken in this lifetime. You can choose to start working on it. You can choose to start liberating yourself from suffering and create heaven on earth and see yourself as God and see and discover your true authentic self and allow for that divinity to move through you, to speak through you, to act through your hands, to act through your legs, through your creativity, and bring that divine power into this world. You can choose to do that, or you can continue being asleep. And that's fine. Nothing happens. Like, there's absolutely no pressure for you to have to wake up, because you will eventually. Like, I guarantee you that. Even if you're like an absolutely horrible person right now, that by like all human standards, people see you as criminal or a baddie. Like, I promise you that one moment in time, sometime in the future, you will awaken. Like, that is absolutely certain. Perhaps not in this lifetime, perhaps not even in the next one, but eventually you will. And people that are effectively living in more darkness are just further from light. But it doesn't mean that their soul is also not advancing and not coming closer to light. So everything is perfect the way it is. We don't have to go out there changing anyone, putting no pressure on anyone awakening. But if you're ready, if your soul is telling you, you know what? Perhaps this is something this life is here for. Perhaps enough is enough. You know what I mean? Perhaps truly you're ready to end the cycle. And if this is you, I'm here for that. Like, that's literally who I'm looking to connect, help, work with. And I have all the systems in place to help you. And I'm so excited. I'm so excited to meet people that are on this path, that are ready and they're willing. And so get in touch with me. Honestly, not necessarily to buy anything from me. I just want to know you. I'm available here for this. I think that your life is sacred, it's special, and I'm literally living for it. So I'm looking forward to connecting, and I'm so excited. I wish you all the best. I wish you love in your life, connecting to your true essence and feeling it deeply and staying happy.